Hi guys, my name is Tanya and today I'm doing a tag video. So as you can see, I have once again returned to my homeland with the giant bookshelf. And whilst I'm here, not necessarily in my childhood bedroom, but in my childhood home with my childhood books, I thought it would be a really good time to do the nostalgia book tag, which I was tagged in by my friend Maggie over at Magazine, and it's an original tag that she made up herself. You should go and check it out. I'll put a thingy over here. Definitely go and watch that. She's absolutely fantastic and it's such a good, thoughtful tag. I'm trying to get this done before my sister finishes watching the programme that she's watching and remembers that she wants to watch a film with me. So let's get straight into it. Question 1 is, what was the first book that made you want to keep reading? And for me, that is Fantastic Mr. Fox by Roald Dahl. I got this copy from my grandma's house. It's ancient. It totally counts if wanting to keep reading meant that you read the same book again and again and again, right? The second question is, what is the first fandom that you became a part of? I was too young to realise what a fandom was when I was doing this, but I was massively into Brian Jacks' Red Wolf series. When I could get on the dial-up internet, sit and read like fan theories, and I'd go through the website and I'd wanted to make the recipes off of there. And for like Halloween and stuff, I dressed up as mice because I was a cool kid. So that was kind of my first fandom before I even realised what that was. And the second part of the question is, do you have any embarrassing photos? I know I said that I went to Halloween parties dressed as a mouse, but thankfully my mum didn't have the forethought to have a camera for that sort of thing, so thankfully there aren't any photos of me running around in a green t-shirt with a cardboard sword with a mouse mask on. Thirdly is, what is the first book you read at school that you actually enjoyed? And although I wish I could say it was Much Ado About Nothing by Shakespeare because I flipping loved it, I actually read Animal Farm in year 7 and I really enjoyed that, even if it did kind of scare me, which leads into question 4, which is, what is the first book that scared the living daylights out of you? I had to find out what this was called and it turned out the title was really obvious, but now my Amazon recommendations are a little bit odd because it was a book called The Ghost Dog by Pete Johnson and I borrowed it off of a mobile library or something at some point and I just read it, but it really freaked me out. It had like one of those kids horror stories within the horror story in the book about like finding a dripping horse's head in a bed or something, and it just really freaked me out because I was one of those horse loving little kids. The fifth question is, which children's book series did you read every book from? And of course, honourable mention to Harry Potter, which I obviously read every book from, but I'm not actually using this. I just wanted to get it in here because I'm at home and I have all my Harry Potter books with me, because there is another book series which I really loved, and I started reading it when I was a little bit too young to be reading it really and didn't understand why it was funny, and that is the Georgia Nicholson series by Louise Renison, which I bring up quite a lot because I absolutely love it and it just summarises my kind of age 13 through 18 life. I loved these books, they were fantastic. Question 6 is, which fictional character did you want to be growing up? I was really weird about the idea of wanting to be someone else, so I didn't want to necessarily be a character, but I did read a lot of Redwall across my kind of childhood and I just really wanted to be an otter. The 7th question is, what was the first book turned movie that you truly hated? And for me, this was definitely Twilight. I went to see this at the cinema when I did still kind of like Twilight, but when me and my friend went to see this film, we just sat and laughed through the whole thing because it was just so staged and hilarious. And we made a habit of going to see the films just so that we could laugh. Question 8 is, which current book series do you think you're going to be nostalgic for in 10 years' time? And I know that the answer for this is the same for a lot of people, but I am going to say Throne of Glass. Not necessarily because it's the thing that I've loved the most, since Heir of Fire was actually the first book that really sold me on the series. I'll be nostalgic for that feeling of just waiting for a book with my friends and knowing that I waited for it with them and being excited and reading it together and all that stuff. The series is really growing on me, like I'm obsessed since the last book, but I will be nostalgic for the crazy atmosphere that surrounds these things with my friends. Question 9 is, who inspired you to be a reader? I always remember reading. I can't have been that inspired because I used to hate reading with my parents because I didn't like reading out loud. I liked sitting and being able to read straight off the page into my head to myself without having to read it all out for someone, because that's clumsy and awkward because that's how I am. So I don't think anyone in particular inspired me to be a reader. I just suddenly started reading, and I always received books for my birthday and Christmas, and I was always kind of unimpressed by that because I wanted more exciting things, but I always read the books because I loved reading. The teacher that taught me my second year of A-levels, Mrs. McElroy, actually really inspired me to get back into reading more widely and more diversely seriously and actually thinking about what I was reading. I always said she kind of spoiled me for more easy fiction. She inspired me to read a lot more classics than I would have naturally been inclined to, and I am really grateful for that because I found some really interesting things because of how she taught me. And finally we come to the tagging. I will obviously tag Beth because she hasn't done this yet and she needs to. I would also like to tag Tiny Teacup because I enjoy seeing videos from her. And then a couple of people whose videos I started watching a lot more of during the booktubeathon. Cindy Bug, who I think will come up with some really interesting and different choices, and Treehouse Road, who is crazy excited about everything, and I hope she sees this or notices that she's been tagged. I don't know how the tagging actually works because I'm kind of useless. I tag those 4 people, and if you're seeing this and you want to do it, do it. Tell me, let me know that you've done it. Since the booktubeathon I've been seeing more and more small YouTubers and I find that really exciting, especially small booktubers, because you're all awesome. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this little glimpse into my slightly odd childhood brain. I hope that you're all doing well, and I hope that you are having a lovely weekend, and I will see you soon. Goodbye! This is annoying. There's a thing. Swinging stars!